What it do, Dream Team? It's your boy D Neal back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with German police versus American police. I feel like I may have seen a couple videos on the differences between the two, but this is the first one by Passport 2, and I really rock with their channel, so I'm intrigued to jump into this. Before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. You guys got a favorite video suggestion, you can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. What we got?
Last week I was taste testing German Christmas cookies. Today I'm going to share with you the differences in my personal run-ins with the law in both Germany and the US. What a weird mixed bag of content.
Maybe so.
Hey guys, and welcome back to our channel. I am Donnie, and along with my wife Aubrey, we are two Americans currently living in Germany with our baby, sharing all of our experiences living and traveling throughout Europe. I hate talking politics on YouTube, and I've said this multiple times on our channel, but when we're talking about the police, for a lot of people, this can't help but be a political topic, unfortunately. I think more so, this is especially true in the US, where the police have become such a hot button topic. So for those of you that think that this is what this video is, it's not. What this video is me talking about my personal and individual observations of police between the US and Germany through my interactions and encounters with them in both countries. Yes, because I have had encounters with the police in both countries, unfortunately. But we'll get to that in a second. So yeah, I have to say that my worldview is of course shaped by who I am and where I'm from in the southern US state called Oklahoma, and where I live now in a southwestern German state called
Oklahoma, right? Hey, Texas, Oklahoma. We right beside each other. I'm close to where you from, my guy.
Oklahoma, and where I live now in a southwestern German state called Rhineland-Pfalz. But you may have completely different experiences, which I would welcome hearing in the comments below. Also, in both the US and Germany, there are lots of different levels and types of police forces in the state, federal, or even city levels, for example. But I'm not going to get into all of those specifics in this video. This video is about the basic, general, overarching term police in these two countries. And that's exactly what I'm going to talk about today in my video.
Talk to me.
911 or 112. Here's the police in my view. For Americans watching, if you come to Germany, the word for police in German is Polizei! So technically different, but also basically the same. In general, this is what a police officer looks like in the
Put that picture back up.
Basically the same.
I wish that's what our police officers look like in America. I wish that's
general, this is what a police officer looks like in the US, and this is what one looks like in Germany. There are sometimes variations to uniforms based on what specific type of police they are or where they are located, but this is generally what you can expect to see. For me as an American, one of the most interesting things to find out when I first saw German police was what they actually carry on them. In a previous video where I talked about things I thought about Germany before moving here, there is a general belief that Europeans are so anti-gun that they don't really exist in Europe, and sometimes there can be false rumors created that European police officers don't even routinely carry guns. And that may be true in some cases for some other European countries, but I remember specifically when we first moved here looking to see if German police officers routinely carry guns, because I thought that they might not based on those American rumors. But I learned that the German police do in fact generally carry firearms. So overall, the general appearance and I guess what they carry actually isn't that different in my opinion and experiences, unless of course we are comparing German police specifically to the Texas Highway Patrol, which do look very
I've never seen Texas police with the long horns on the car. I haven't seen it. This is uniform. You got the uniforms down pat. You got. I've never seen this.
Specifically to the Texas Highway Patrol, which do look very, well, Texas. So besides the actual police officers themselves, the other iconic part to police forces are their vehicles, of course. So first off, in the US, I've seen a picture that floats around Facebook to show a supposed problem with American police forces, and that is this one. Of course, this isn't exactly a German police car on the left. That would actually be this. But the entire point of this post is kind of lost when I then informed these American friends that there are actually, in fact, undercover police cars in Germany as well, and non-undercover American police cars exist, of course, as well. However, I will definitely admit that in general, the German police cars are much more visible and recognizable immediately because of the bright colors they use, unlike American police cars, which sometimes, even if they aren't undercover, may require a second look to make sure it is, in fact, a police car and not a civilian vehicle. US.
What did it say under designed to not be seen by citizens so officers can collect revenue through violations and infractions? I think that was designed perfect. I think that sums it up perfectly. I think it sums it up perfectly because so many times I'm driving on the road and I don't even notice I'm driving next to a police officer. Then I look and I'm like, dang, that's a police car? If I saw that on the left, a European police car, obviously just off the back, police car. Sometimes in America, I feel like you don't know until it's too late. You don't know until it's too late, until you see them lights going off.
Use, unlike American police cars, which sometimes, even if they aren't undercover, may require a second look to make sure it is, in fact, a police car and not a civilian vehicle. US police forces use an extremely wide array of vehicles, so I can't definitely say one make or model is the typical American police car, but generally some of the most popular are going to be Dodge Chargers or Ford Explorers and Chevy Tahoes. The makes and models of police cars in Germany can also vary, with popular choices being Mercedes-Benz E-classes or Vitos, for example. One of the other biggest differences you can't actually see are, of course, the sounds they make. No, not the vroom vroom sound, the wee-woo sound. One thing I can speak from experience that our American friends and family who visit always comment about is how the sound landscape is different in Europe than in the US. In particular, when it comes to the sounds of sirens, and some even comment that since they have only ever heard the European siren in Hollywood blockbusters, they feel like they're on the set for a Jason Bourne movie when they first hear it during their visit in Europe. So brace yourself, because here is the traditional American siren. And the German siren.
That hit my ears a little, dude. I was expecting like a night wee woo. That hit my ears a little strong.
Real quick, a shout out to all my patrons who have continued supporting us throughout this entire year. You know who you are, and I want you to know that I really appreciate you guys. If you would like to know more about becoming a patron of ours, there is a link in the description that you can check out. Also, a quick note that a link to our merch shop is also in the description below, and I'd be happy if you guys check that out. And the last thing, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like and subscribe buttons, I would be so grateful to you. But now let's get back to the video. So, speaking of sirens, I alluded to the fact that I have had some encounters with the police in both countries. So let me tell you about those experiences, because there are big differences in the interactions that I have had with them.
Talk to me.
Also, there's big differences in why I've had encounters with both police forces. So first off, let me burst your bubble by saying that I don't have any kind of criminal history actually, but I have been pulled over on the road by police officers in both countries for traffic infractions. It's not that I'm a bad driver, it's just that I have an unfortunate medical condition called lead foot, with the only cure being either police intervention or moving to Germany, where there are some sections of the highway without speed limits. So
I also came down with that diagnosis of lead foot. Yes, it's tough. It's tough. It's uncurable. I'll say that. I'll tell you, it's an uncurable thing. Lead foot it is, because your foot just keeps pushing and keeps pushing until you're going faster than all the other cars on the road. And then when you're going, but when you can't go faster, you're stuck in traffic. Like, I don't know, you start getting frustrated. This anger starts building up in you. This frustration, this hate this hatred of going slow starts building up, and you're like, you have a need for speed. I understand what he's talking about. I've also met police because of this disease of lead foot. 2 or 3 times I've had infractions.
Or moving to Germany where there are some sections of the highway without speed limits. So in the US, I have been pulled over for speeding a couple of times, and this typically happens when a police officer is usually parked on the side of the road, either hiding their car behind like a bush, a sign, or something else that you can't see them sitting there watching for speeders. This is how it happened to me in almost all of the experiences, and the police officer would then pull behind me, turn their lights on, but if it doesn't get your attention, they might also do a short burst of their siren to get your attention. Once I pulled over, the solo officer parked their car behind me, walked up to the car, and then talked to me for a bit, ran my information if they deemed it necessary, and then decided if they were going to give me a ticket or just a warning. This is very different from what I've experienced in Germany. So I've been pulled over once in Germany, but it actually wasn't for speeding. And I'll get to that reason in a minute. Aubrey and I were driving one day on a day trip when I needed to turn left onto a cross street, but it technically wasn't allowed. We were way outside of town and there wasn't anybody around, or so I thought, and I figured I would just go ahead and make the illegal turn rather than turning right than having to find somewhere else to turn around. However, I quickly saw a Polizei van racing up behind me. The German police car, rather than following me and turning on its lights like in the US, it actually sped around and got in front of me. If this happens in the US, then that typically means that they are going after someone else, and so I thought that I was off the hook because they weren't following me anymore. However, as it got in front of me, a little sign lit up on the back of the van with the words "Bitte folgen." At the time, we were still new here, so I didn't know what that meant, but don't you worry, that sign then changed to English as if it read my mind to "Please follow." They then found a safe place for us to pull over. I pulled over, and 2 police officers walked up on either side of my vehicle. The procedure was basically the same as in the US at this point, and they explained to me that the left turn wasn't supposed to be done, and then they gave me a warning and sent me on my way. So the procedures of getting pulled over in both countries are slightly different, but that's not the biggest difference I've experienced with the police.
No, I like that. They pull in front of you, please follow, they find a safe place, and you just follow them. Because a lot of times you gotta you're responsible for pulling over, and sometimes there don't be no place to pull over. But if you don't pull over in a timely manner, like they get even more upset at you. But it's like I had no safe place to pull over. What do you want me to do? You feel me? And so I really like this. I really like that slight difference.
Both countries are slightly different, but that's not the biggest difference I've experienced with the police, or actually, I should say, not experienced with the police in Germany, I guess. For one, Germany doesn't really patrol streets with officers looking for speeders. So how do you get in trouble for breaking the speed limit, you might ask my American friends? When we very first moved here, I rented a car locally, and as I was leaving the shop, the woman working ran after me and said, "Oh, just a warning, they just put a blitzer on the Autobahn." I said, "A what?" And she said, "A blitzer." And I said, "Oh, what?" We both were so confused, she not understanding why I didn't understand, and I not understanding what the heck a blitzer was. Honestly, I can't remember if she explained it to me or if I didn't learn what it was until I was then flying down the highway and got flashed by a bright light. But I learned that for the most part, Germany controls speed on all road types with cameras and radar rather than an actual police officer patrolling. These cameras can be permanent or portable. They can be disguised or somewhat obvious, but there are hidden cameras all over Germany waiting for you to speed by so that it can snap your picture and it'll let you know that you have a ticket coming with its bright flash. You then receive your ticket a few weeks later in the mail, which will have your lovely candid photo on it, a photo of your license plate, and all the information you need to pay your fine. Now,
I you know what I'm saying, and seeing this, I do prefer the police cars that try to hide out and catch you. I feel like I can see them. I see them coming, and I'm like, I always keep my eyes out for the side of the road. With the cameras, that would be harder for me. That would be harder for me to speed if the camera was there, because unless I figured out where all the cameras were. But other than that, I probably, for me personally, because of my lead foot disease, I would prefer the officers because I feel like I can see them ahead of time. Whereas cameras, I probably might not see ahead of time and may get ticketed.
Wanted a photo of your license plate and all the information you need to pay your fine. Now, I'm not going to tell you how many of these candid pictures I have in my collection, but let's just say that I am very familiar with this process. But speaking of the speeding tickets, those were also a huge shock in Germany. And I guess you could say in a good way, because speeding tickets are ridiculously cheap in Germany. From what I am unfortunately used to in the US, it makes me actually question if this really stops people from speeding with such a small slap on the wrist. First off, both the US and Germany have general allowances they will typically give you crossing over the speed limit. For example, the general rule of thumb is 4 miles per hour or 4 kilometers per hour over the speed limit. The thing is, those look similar, but the conversions actually reveal a pretty big difference, and a vast majority of the tickets that I've gotten in Germany has been just above that general allowance that in the US would be in the allowance and wouldn't warrant a ticket. For example, I have a German speeding ticket for going 6 kilometers per hour over the speed limit, which is about 3.7 miles per hour, and that wouldn't really be a big deal in the US. And again, I'm not making excuses. I totally deserve those tickets for going over. I agree. Just comparing how the different units of measurement and mindsets translate. These minor
my general thumb rule was always 5 above or 5 below. It wasn't 4. I always thought you go 5 miles faster, 5 miles. So I go faster than 5 above, but that's what I thought the general rule was.
Just comparing how the different units of measurement and mindsets translate. These minor breaking of the speed limit in Germany will generally get us a ticket of around 20 to 30 euro, depending on where you break the speed limit. Unlike in Oklahoma, where it'll cost you a whopping $172. Unfortunately, the biggest ticket I've ever received in Germany was for going 24 kilometers per hour over and cost 98 euro 50 cents plus 1 point in Flensburg, but I'm not talking about that in this video. In Oklahoma, this would have cost me $203. Since we have lived in Germany though, the prices have been increasing, and my first few tickets were only for like 10 euro before they started increasing the prices. And I thought that these were especially cheap compared to what I was used to in Oklahoma at the time.
I swear to God.
One other thing that we have taken note of in Germany, and was actually subtly mentioned in my being pulled over stories, and that is the fact that American police do sometimes travel around in pairs or groups, but generally you see police officers on patrol alone, whereas in Germany, we've noticed that we generally see police officers at least in pairs a vast majority of the time. We've seen this and taken note of it so much so that I've even looked up to see if German police officers are required by law to work in pairs, and I found on the City of Hagen's police Facebook page this exact question asked, and they explained no, that they don't actually have to. But like I said, in the US, I'm used to seeing police officers generally working alone enough that I notice it as a very big difference in Germany, where nearly every policeman or woman has a partner with them at all times. To be honest, I think this is a great practice and should be more encouraged, as it can hopefully provide more accountability and help in high stress situations, rather than leaving it up to one person to figure out how to police a situation.
I completely agree with this. I feel like traveling with 2 people, it makes the situation easier, because now you got 2 people trying to control the situation instead of one who might get frightened. Know what I'm saying? Especially if there's multiple criminals, I guess. I hate to say the word, or multiple people committing crime. I don't know, multiple people that they're trying to talk to. And then they might get frightened by one of the people doing something or anything. I feel like if there's more than one person, it just makes the workload easier. And so fatal situations don't come out of that.
Rather than leaving it up to one person to figure out how to police a situation.
Time is money.
Of all the differences that I have found and noticed about the police in the US and Germany, the most shocking difference for me is what it requires to become a police officer. So first off, Police in the US are not awarded any kind of diploma or degree for completing training as a police officer, and there are also no college degree requirements to join the police. In terms of how long it takes to become a police officer, I found the City of Oklahoma City Police's website where they described for their police force that police academy lasts approximately 28 weeks, and upon successful completion of the academy, the recruit is assigned to the field training officer program for 4 to 6 months. After this, the newly graduated recruits are assigned as solo patrol officers. So in total, it seems like we're looking at about 10 to 13 months of training before being able to go solo and fight crime. However, in Germany, the system is different in that in order to become a police officer, your training is a Bachelor of Arts degree and is a minimum of 3 years of studying before you can call yourself a police officer. So essentially 1 year of training, at least in Oklahoma, versus 3 years of training in Germany, with German officers also receiving a university degree from their education. To me, a huge difference. To see who made it this far into the video, the random question of the week is: France or Germany? Who has the best bread? Thanks so much for watching, guys. Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and I will see you in our next video.
No, I definitely agree with what he said, and that is a huge difference. 3 years of training versus 1 year of training. And then I feel like, but America, I think it's like that because there's like a shortage of police. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's like a shortage of officers, so but it's still, they need proper training, like proper. That's all we got for this one. You guys got a favorite video suggestion, you can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Social media and Patreon are all up top. If you want to subscribe to any of it, put all links in the description. All you gotta do is hit the link, follow, talk to me. Love talking to you guys. You guys are the most incredible team on YouTube. It's your boy D Neal, out.